You are listening to the Learnings and Missteps podcast, where we intend to change the image of careers in the trades. Each of the inspirational stories is designed to celebrate the real men and women who have built careers in the construction industry and how they impact the world around them. These stories are brought to you by three brothers who share a mother. I am Jesse, your host. Our in-house writer is Ernest, aka La Voz.
Hello.
And our co-host is Renee.
What's up?
Y'all ready?
Yes, sir.
Dale.
Hey, Jesse, what kind of bright ideas do y'all have in this episode?
In this episode, Ernest, you're going to get to hear from Miss Darci Spiteri. She is an unassuming, confident woman in her first year of apprenticeship. This is actually her second career, and she's got some life experience that she brings and shares with us. And so the amazing thing is she's found a way to carry forward the lessons that she learned in her previous work in digital marketing. You know, the really impressive part about it that I hope our listeners get out there is she has a very humble mindset as an apprentice. You know, for any apprentice, it's difficult to kind of pump the brakes and be patient with the learning and the career growth. But with an individual that has had success in another career and has maybe a decade or two more experience, life experience, it's really impressive to hear the humility in the way she approaches her work. And again, underneath it all is this just immense, solid confidence that you can almost miss if you're not listening close enough. So you ready to check it out?
Let's do this.
Good morning, Miss Darci Spiteri, who is like super gracious, super cool, super relaxed. I fumbled up the invitation and I can't do time zone math, and she put up with that. So it's actually a Sunday morning today, and you're in Alberta, Canada, is that correct?
Ontario.
I'm sorry, Ontario, Canada.
Yes.
All
Ontario.
right. And it's nice and warm up there right now?
Weirdly, yes. It's like yesterday was like 9 degrees, so Celsius. I don't know what the conversion is.
Me neither. It's a jacket.
It's like it's seasonably high. It's relaxing. It's nice.
I'm here in San Antonio, Texas, where it's like, I don't know, I think it's like 45 degrees, and we use the other one, right?
Yeah.
Y'all are Celsius, we're Fahrenheit, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know what the conversion is, but it's not warm.
Yeah.
It's not warm. But it's all good. Darci, again, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And again, I explained a little earlier, but Renee, our co-host, is absent because of my fumbling with the scheduling. But we're here, and I'm excited to hear your story. I know a lot of our listeners do love to hear a lady's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's absent in our, not absent, but there's very few women in the industry. So having you here is really a special situation for us. And so with that, what do you want our listeners to know about you?
So I think one of the interesting parts of my story is that this is my second career. So I am 37 years old, and I have an 8-year-old son.
Yeah.
And I was living the downtown live and work life previously. And like in Toronto, our big city, it's super expensive to live. And I think I had a realization that I needed to look for a job where I could support me and Coulson. So I had to make a decision to leave my Toronto life and went on this journey of finding a trade to get into. So I actually got a grant through our government to go back to school. And it's a grant that it's kind of weird, like the requirements to be able to qualify. You have to have been laid off and then taken a contract position. So it's like super specific, and I never ever thought that I would be in that situation. And I was working for an animation company, and they actually ended up going into receivership. So like it was a huge thing in Toronto on the news, and like 500 employees were locked out, and it was
Oh my
crazy.
goodness.
Yeah.
What is receivership? I'm not
So
familiar with that.
it's like a bankruptcy.
Oh, okay, got it. I know
Yeah.
what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. So I ended up taking a contract, like a mat leave position at a shredding company. So I was doing admin, and then I realized I finally had those requirements, and I started looking into like a whole whack of jobs. Like I was looking at, I think, a stenographer at one point, like
Okay.
doing court writing, and then I think just getting frustrated of trying to find something that I could support myself in Coulson. I just was like, oh, I should just get into a trade and I should just be an electrician, and saying it not like as a joke, but like thinking I couldn't do it. And then I kind of had that moment of maybe like, why not? Why can't I look into this? And I started researching it more, and I found so many women in the trades that I was reading about, and that kind of inspired me more to do it. So I was able to get into a pre-apprentice program for electrical.
Okay.
So that was it was I think a 6-month program. So with the grant, they paid for the schooling, but then one of the things is they had said you're going to have to do your schooling anyways through your apprenticeship. And I had talked to other electricians, and they're like, honestly, you don't need to take the pre-apprentice, but I think being a woman and coming into the trade, I didn't want to have zero knowledge. I wanted to be able to walk onto the job site and have a little bit. So it really helped in that regard, and it was great to have it covered. So
that was helpful, huh?
Yeah. So it was kind of like, it was a 2-year journey to get to finally starting my apprenticeship, but I think that kind of added the drive to accomplish it.
As I opened with you being tolerant and super relaxed about it, and that just further reinforces, right? 2 years. You had to go through all these, jump through these hoops for 2 years before you actually started the apprenticeship. I applaud your tenacity. I mean, it's impressive. I may be going out on a limb here, but I'm getting the impression that you're a single mother.
Yep.
Okay. Props, mad props to you. My brothers and I were raised by a single mother.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share a little bit about mom, and you're probably going to say, "Yep, I've done that." Mom didn't take vacations, right?
Yeah.
Mom didn't get her nails done. Mom worked. Mom went to school. Mom cooked. Mom cleaned. Mom did all of these like super amazing, heroic things, put up with all of our BS, and really sacrificed her personal life, sacrificed her social life. She put a lot of things on the back burner just for us.
Yeah.
So am I far off? Is it how close is that?
Nope, you're spot on. And it's hard too. And I think I have to remember that I need to take time for myself, which I don't. And I find that when I've had a long stretch of not doing something for me, I get easily frustrated. And I've had to tell myself, like, even just to get out of the house for like a half an hour walk, I can just like reset my brain. And that's super important. And I've definitely learned that over the last couple of years for sure. It's just like your mental health is so important. And for me to be a better mom, I need those times too, right?
Yes, absolutely. And everybody, right? To be a better mom, to better serve the people that are in your circle.
Yeah.
And more importantly, to continue developing the human being that you are.
Yes.
Right? You've got to take time and invest. And it's hard, right?
Yeah.
Here's another secret question. How hard is it for you to ask for help?
Hard.
You like that one?
It is. And I have so many people in my life that are helping me. Like I've moved back in with my parents to help, because to find daycare at 6:30 in the morning when you have to leave for work is not existent. and having a best friend that's pushed me and in those moments where I've wanted to stop, her kind of slapping me in the face and being like, you can do this.
Yep.
But it is a hard thing. I think I always want to do everything on my own, but I can't.
Yeah, and you don't have to.
Yeah.
Right. It's this this thing that we do to ourselves, where we convince ourselves that we got to do it all by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Asking for help is a weakness. And I say we because I think people in general, we have accepted this conditioning of, you must overcome independently and, all that heroic stuff. But again, back to mothers and single mothers, like I said, mom and other really close friends of mine, women that amazing superpowers that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And their kryptonite almost every single time is asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
So I applaud you for, saying, hey, Dad, need a place because I need some help with the boy, with Mr. Colson.
Colson, yeah.
Colson, 8 years old, full of energy, or he's super quiet, relaxed.
No, opposite. Like, I need to work out just to be able to keep up.
No, wow, yeah, that's an exciting time for a young boy. So you mentioned the first career you were in animation.
So I actually started out I've had like so many different jobs. I've kind of fell into all my careers previous. Like out of high school, I did a college program that it was called Digital Media Technical Production. So I had wanted to be I wanted to do graphic design. That was out of high school. That was what I thought I wanted to do. So I got it accepted into this program, which started in August. So it was an early program instead of starting at I think normally September.
Okay.
So I went in and it was more about the computer. Like there wasn't a lot of design courses right away. And I was just kind of like, is this really what I wanted to do? And then I had decided, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a year off and see what I want to do. And my dad he was in sales and marketing. So and then at that point, he was going through a transition of wanting to get out of the corporate world, start his own business. So he was looking at a whole bunch of, what are they called? Like franchises.
Okay.
And he had found this one that was a print shop. So like large format printing, doing banners, vehicle wraps.
Ooh,
yeah. And so I was like, well, I could do the design. That's kind of what I wanted to do. So I ended up working with them when my dad and my mom had started this company together. And from there, I was able to, so many different companies need that kind of work.
Yes.
So I was exposed to so many different types of companies that I never would have known existed in high school. We did a lot of work with event marketing companies. And that was I was always into the creative stuff. I wanted a career where I could be creative or what I thought I wanted to do. So I ended up working for an event marketing company as an account coordinator. And then from there, I slowly kind of moved into more project management. So I started working in marketing companies in their studios. So I would do the traffic, we call it traffic. So I was basically the point person in the studio between all the different, the different departments.
There you go. Yep.
So the accounts team would come to me and be like, which designers are open, who can work on this project, and filtering those jobs through from brainstorm phase to production.
I mean, this is good stuff. So how do you, if you're the project manager in this situation, how do you manage through the brainstorm phase with people?
Well, I was I would be in some brainstorms, but I was more the person that they would come to when they needed designers to take, we had designers, production designers, creative directors. So they would all kind of take part in those brainstorms. Okay. And it was just knowing where each project was at. Yeah.
Okay, good. Did you find it difficult or challenging securing commitments from creative people?
It's hard because I think one of the good things is I came from a background where I took part in the design, so I kind of had an idea of how long things would take, which was a bonus. Where it's like, if you don't understand the process, like you could think something's going to take, you're like, well, this should take this long, but you don't know the full scope of what's happening. Which also, like in the, like, I think one of the good things about having the project management background is I can carry that over into the trade world.
Absolutely. I mean, the words that you said, like, people don't really understand what it takes to do a thing.
Yeah.
Right. I think that dynamic transcends any industry, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
If you didn't get your hands dirty and do it in the past, your estimate of how long it's going to take is going to be too low.
Yeah. And I think having those conversations, like including everybody in those beginning conversations, I think it would help in the long run. Like I've seen it happen on the construction site, like nobody's talking and like things are coming at you where you're like, okay, well, we need to do this today. And you're like, well, I had no idea this trade was coming in. And like just having more little conversations, I think would help in a whole.
Oh my! You are speaking my love language. Part of what I do, during the day, my day job, is coaching teams on collaborative planning.
Yes.
It's the last planner system, lean thinking. One of the like really simple things that we like want to make sure we establish is a daily huddle.
Yes.
15 minutes with the foreman of every trade and the superintendent or project manager of the project to talk about what are you working on, what problems do you have, and what are we going to do tomorrow.
Yeah, that's
right.
Awesome.
Like and coordinate that, like you said, like, man, well, plumbers are coming in to set tubs. Well, hold on, we're still roughing into overhead lighting.
Yeah.
We can't both be in the same place at the same time. It's those small things. Having that conversation smooths it all out. You don't have the conversation, and I imagine you may have heard some magical curse words out there and throwing hard hats and threats and this sort of thing, Sorry. I'm with you, sister. I'm with you.
Well, that was one of the things that I was a studio manager, so I was we had like this huge, we called it our battle board. So it was like every day, like I'd have all the jobs on the board and everyone would go through like what they were working on and how long they needed. And I would let them know like what's coming down the pipeline. So I think definitely bringing that into my new role, I think I'm excited to have that background and understanding.
So this battle board, are you familiar with Scrum?
Yeah. So it was like a Scrum meeting. Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, I knew it. I love it. You're the awesome. Okay, so you have, Miss Darci, you have like some super hidden magical powers.
I think so.
Oh my goodness, you sure do. I'm going to say this. In your new career endeavor, right? Second career in the trades, that type of thinking and the understanding the understanding of how to apply it. Oh my God, is going to your career. Like I could see it right now. It's on a very steep trajectory, and that's a positive thing.
Yeah.
You're probably going to have to apply some patience because you're early in your apprenticeship.
Yeah.
But you can see problems that other people don't realize are problems. And you know how to help them with that. Oh my goodness, I am excited for you. Jeez. Sorry, I get a little goofy about stuff. Okay, so you got into originally your interest was graphic design. So what was it that attracted you to graphic design?
I think being creative, like I'm super crafty. Like I had a small little side business where I would do knitting and crochet and sewing, and I think I just love that side of like the art, I guess, but realizing that doing graphic design for other people is like a whole different ball game, and it wasn't my jam. Like I didn't like other people telling me like, oh well, like, can you move this or do that? Like I like to do it for myself, like more of like an artistic kind of thing. So just
Okay.
like seeing that, I think, and it's so hard too because in school, like the co-op programs, like
Mhm.
in high school, I think is so important because you see a job and you can see more of it that you wouldn't necessarily see if you're like looking through a book of what should I take in college or university. So I think the co-op programs are really important. But like when I did co-op, I was at a photography studio and didn't really do something that I was really thinking I was going to go into. It was kind of like, oh, this is like my fluff course. Where I
Mhm.
think if they offer more a range of jobs that you can go and see, like not just working at one for a whole semester, you can go and see like different things. There's like just with an electrician on a whole, like I had no idea what the scope of the job was. Like I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna put light switches in and change receptacles. Where
Sure.
like now, like that I've been in like a program, but like you don't see the whole planning stages and like what's underneath all the walls and what has to go into it before you can actually put a receptacle or a light switch in. So I think
Yes.
it's exposing younger generations to these jobs so they can learn more about them and get more of an interest. Like I think it's so important.
It is extremely important, and there's not enough people or organizations doing that, right?
Yeah.
Exposing our youth to what all, like how exciting, right? There's so much stuff. It's not for everybody, but for some
Yeah.
people, they're gonna say, "Oh my, I want to go play in that."
Yeah.
And so, how do you scratch that itch?
My creative side?
Yes.
I do a whole bunch of stuff on like at home and with Coulson. I'm always looking up on Pinterest all my
Ah,
craft ideas. His birthdays are always a big time for me. I always love to I start plan like his birthday's in June, so by like now I should be planning. But, like,
wow, that's serious. That sounds like a serious party.
yeah, they're intense. Well, but now that COVID is among us, but just
Put a
like
damper
doing
on.
little things for myself. Like I like to, like there was some craft shows, local craft shows that I would go into, and I think there is a little bit of creativity in electrical too, with your like conduit bending and
Okay, can you describe that? I agree with you. I'm not
yeah,
I'm not arguing. I agree 100%. As a plumber, you better believe what I did was art,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or at least I believed it was.
Yeah, there's so many people I think that take so much pride in their work, and you can see it all over Instagram, like all the electrical accounts that I've seen, and just it's not like a set. Like if you're doing your conduit work, it's not like you have to put it here. There's so many different ways of doing it, and I found it so interesting to look at my journeymen and see them thinking in those moments of like,
Mm,
okay, like you see someone standing around, but you don't realize what they're actually doing in their head and like
yes.
trying to plan out the best ways to do things and not make it look like garbage. And so,
Yeah, they're mind mapping, right? In the
yeah,
moment, they've been given some type of information or guidance,
yeah,
but the guidance is go from point A to point B.
yeah,
And what's underneath that is do that in the safest,
yeah,
most economical way possible, right?
hmm,
And to achieve the required quality. That's not spelled out for anybody. We got to figure that out.
yeah.
And so it, like you said, it takes some thinking time. So when you're out there, when you're faced with the new configuration, wiring diagram, or just routing conduit, do you draw that out, or do you keep that, you personally, is that something you just map out in your head?
I haven't done so much of it. I think I haven't really found my way yet, but like when I would be with my journeyman, they would kind of ask me, they're like, okay, what do you think this should, like, how do you think you should do this? And I would be able to think and see what was to be done, and then they would be like, okay, like yes, or they would give me how they would do it. And I think just having that experience, and it's like why the apprenticeship I think is so important, and Like a lot of them would be like, okay, I'm going to let you struggle so you can see what the struggle feels like, and then I'm going to show you an easier way to do it.
Yes, and that is a teaching method, right?
Yeah.
How does that? How do I ask this question? Does it feel respectful when they do that, like let you struggle?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think for me to learn, I need to remember that struggle and be like, to see all the different options and why they're telling me to do it this way. So I appreciated it for sure. I think some people may not be okay with that,
Yep, yep.
but I think I've always, like, there was one day where we were running all this wire for I was at a school for my first job.
Okay.
We were running all the wire for the stage, and my journeyman was like, okay, so like, just like, he had said to label everything, but I didn't
Yep.
hear the
What does
label
that
part.
mean? Yep.
So I cut all the wires, and I came out, and I'm like, okay, so I cut everything, and like, I was like, yeah, I'm doing this so fast. I'm like cleaning up. And then he's like, okay, so you labeled everything. I'm like, excuse me, what? Uh, Label? No. And I had like this huge smile on my face because I felt so bad and so awkward. And he's like, you
Sure.
can stop joking now. I'm like, no, I definitely cut them. And he's like, okay. So, like, just seeing how much added work had to go into like finding what everything was. But like, now I will remember that moment. I'm like, okay, I need to label before I cut.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. You know, I'm laughing because I'm pretty sure any apprentice out there has experienced something similar, right?
Yeah.
Where somebody gave you direction, and because we don't ask for help, right? We don't
Yeah.
ask for clarification. Because sometimes, I've been fortunate in my career to have people that have a teacher servant's heart,
Mm-hmm.
but that was rare. Usually, I had somebody that said, "Oh my God, I'm not here to babysit. Like,
Yeah.
I wish they would hire people that knew what the hell they were doing." So one time I was told I had to chip some concrete to
Mhm.
recess a floor sink in a slab. And so my foreman said, "Hey man, I need you to chip that and make sure the sink fits in there." I said, "Okay." So I got the chipping hammer, and man, I went to town.
Yeah.
And girl, that floor sink would recess in the slab all the way through the slab. And he came. I said, "Hey," his name was David. I'll never forget this. And I was at a school. I was at I think it was Memorial High School here in San Antonio.
Weird. My school was New Memorial.
Oh man, it's a sign. It's a sign. And he's like, "All right, well, let me check it out." So he came, and he's like, "What the hell did you do?" I said, "Dude, I chipped it. Like, it'll go up. Like, we could put it at any height." He's like, "It's supposed to sit on the concrete, you dummy. Like, you were only supposed to go down an inch or an inch and a quarter. You went 3 inches." And I'm like, "Oh, so you mean my parade is canceled? Like, this isn't what you wanted?" But like you said, I'll never forget that, and I will always ask for clarification. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I know you want me to chip it, but how much?
Yeah.
I know you want me to put this up in the ceiling, but how high? Oh my God, such an important lesson.
Yeah. I think one of the things too that I've learned is like someone will tell me what to do, and then I need to repeat it back to them and make sure that I am understanding. And I think sometimes depending on who your journeyman is, I was super lucky with the guys that I worked with. They were all so patient and all super like supportive and wanting to teach.
Mm.
And I could see where that, like, I think if some people are like, okay, like, you just like, let's just get it done. Like, I think I had worked with one guy where I think he'd get frustrated when I'm like, okay, so this is what you want me to do. Like, I need to be able to repeat it back so I know that I'm understanding. I think.
Man, that's another superpower, Darci. It takes a deep level of humility and vulnerability to be able to do that. Man, you got all kinds of skills, girl. Jeez. Yeah, you really do. Tell me, what's hard? What's the nightmare about working out in the field? on the job site?
For me, I had like the ginormous SDS Bosch is my art nemesis. I think being able to realize that I'm not going to be good at everything. I'm not like I had one day where I had to do like a 2-inch core through the block.
Yep.
And just holding this drill is a mission for me. I've realized like working out is something that I need to add into my routine because I don't want to struggle with those things. And I think I was trying to drill this 2-inch core, and like I could, like my height too, like I have to learn how to be able to do these things. Like I'm 5'2", so I was like holding this drill and like I wasn't like at it at the right angle. I always feel like I'm like a half step too short.
Oh, just a half step, right?
Yeah. But it's I think learning, like just like having someone tell you how to hold something. It's like those little things that throughout your apprenticeship you're going to pick up. But I think the hardest thing is when I feel like I can't do something, and I just kind of, there was the day that I was trying to drill this thing, I couldn't do it. I said to my foreman, I'm like, can you just start it? Like maybe once it's started, I can do it. But I was just at such a weird angle. And I think that day I left, I'm like, oh, like I need to be able to do everything. And I just felt so defeated. And then I went home and I was like, you know what? Like at my previous jobs, like I wasn't able to do everything in the company. Just kind of realizing that I'm going to find those little things that I'm going to excel at, and those will be my specialty. But I had said that to my foreman, and he's like, you know what? You're like, I'm like, if I have a really tall guy on my crew, I'm obviously going to get him to do the stuff that is maybe a little bit harder for you. But so I think having that realization changed my thinking a bit. But it's just like going through everything and you're feeling so awkward about everything you do as an apprentice, but being able to laugh at myself a little bit too has helped.
Yeah. You know, that's I guess a principle that we all need to better embrace. It sounds like you're doing a great job of it, right? We all come to the table with skills. We all come to the table with a set of skills that we can most likely outperform others. And we come to the table with gaps, right? There's gaps in our abilities, in our knowledge, physical gaps, whatever it is. But that doesn't mean that we're less than.
Yeah.
Right? It's something we need to maybe build.
Exactly.
But also, let's share the skills and gifts that we do have to help a situation out. So, you know, that for some of our listeners may not know what a Bosch SDS Max is, right? That son of a gun, it weighs about 20 pounds, maybe?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And that's without a bit. And so if you have a 2-inch core bit, it's going to be drilling through a CMU block wall. That thing's about 14, 12, 16 inches long.
Yeah.
The damn drill itself is about 18 inches long. So you got like this 3-foot piece of machinery that you're trying to hold above your head or over your shoulders on a ladder, 3 feet away from where you're trying to get this damn hole drilled.
Yeah.
I would challenge anybody right now to grab a cup of water and hold it in one hand above their shoulder for the rest of this episode. And then you'll understand what is difficult about that damn hammer drill.
Yeah.
What do you think, Darci?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Like my shoulders were so ripped, like just carrying stuff or doing everything above my head. But yeah, it's so true. It's like you're not only holding it, but you're like holding it up high, and like you're never in a situation where you're like standing on the ground at perfect height to drill. Like, there's always obstacles that you have to overcome.
Yeah, for sure. So was the physical nature of the work, did that surprise you?
I don't think so. Like I wanted a job where it was going to be a workout. I think that was one of the things. I wanted I would do like 30,000 steps a day. Like
Oh
by
my goodness.
nine,
I'm
like 'cause
jealous.
I think as a first year, I was running around getting everything for everyone. So I liked that, and like I like coming home at the end of the day, just like exhausted from doing stuff and like
Mm,
creating something, building something. So I was ready for it, and I
yeah.
think like carrying the tools back and forth every day, like I'm the kind of person that when I'm bringing the groceries in, I do not like to take 2 trips. So
Uh, all the fingers have 3 or 4
yeah,
bags in them. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So can you describe that daily sense of accomplishment you have from being able to look back at what you did today, physically see it?
I think for like just mentally being able to look at not only my day, but like who I was at the beginning of the job and who I was at the end of the job. Like right now, like I was there January 13th was my first day on the job of
Okay.
2020. So the job is finished up, and just looking back at what I accomplished, like from using a bandsaw, like the first day that I was on site and like making like the like the bit just grinding and like
Oh yeah.
why isn't this working? He's like, you're pressing too hard, like let the tool do the job. Like I was trying to force the
Mm,
bandsaw, and just seeing what I've accomplished and knowing that I can do it. And I think like for my mental health and just knowing that I can do things that I put my mind to,
yes.
and so good. And like trying new things, like you like Shannon was on the show, right?
Yes. Yes.
She's been amazing to have in my corner, and like just meeting her and seeing what she's done, and seeing like I think one of the things she says is like she's now has the confidence to try other things like things
Mm,
for her car, and I think just seeing her do that too, and I'm like, okay, you know what, I'm going to change the light bulb in my car.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
accomplishing that, and I'm like, wow, like if I just like think about what I want to do and do it.
Take that action, right?
Yeah,
You got to take that action step, and then
yeah,
magically those things will happen.
yeah.
So you mentioned Shannon, another amazing woman in the trades. Do you have a group of women in the trades that are a resource for you to like tap into and vent to, right? Complain about the dumb dudes out there, share lessons learned. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so Instagram has actually been an amazing platform for that. I've met like so many women locally too. Like there's so many girls that are on my Instagram now that I talk to daily. Vancouver, there's some in Ontario. I have Shannon who like in my local, and I think that's super important. Like you said, like I'll go to work and I'm the only girl there, and I'm just like having a bad day, and I'm like, oh, they're not going to understand. And
Yeah.
I think when COVID kind of hit, I realized how much I missed my female friends. Like I would see them right like on the weekends. And then we went into lockdown, and I was like, I miss having my girls, and like
Yeah.
having this Instagram family. Like there's not only women, but there's other men too in the trades, and we all kind of we've bonded a little bit. And it's like once COVID's over, it'll be nice to have that, like maybe have a meetup or something.
Yeah. Happy
Um,
hour.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think it's super important to have other women in the trade that you can talk to and share, because they'll understand what you're going through. And like I've been super lucky that my site all like there was a painter that was there that was a woman, and there was another electrician who was in. So just seeing the other girls, you're just kind of like, hey, and the guys would always make fun of me because I'd always be like, where'd you get your pants? Like I want to know where you get all your workwear, because that's been a struggle. Like it's really hard to find women's workwear.
You know, there's a contact I have. Let me pull up his name. He's in Canada,
Oh,
and he has, well, this is an idea. You can help him market it with your graphic design skills. He has created a jacket that has space for a safety harness for the lanyard and everything to
Oh,
hook up
I
to?
think I have him. Pete, right?
Pete,
Yeah.
yes,
On
yes.
I have him on my LinkedIn, and I see like I think Shannon has one of the jackets, and I was like, this is super smart. It's so genius.
Yes. So, Pete, if you're listening, there is a market out there for women's workwear, and Darci is going to help you build and expand your business for women's workwear. How about that? What do you think about that?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that was the thing. Like I showed up on the job site. I had no idea where I was going to be working. Like I was told it was in a school, but I didn't know. Like I was like, okay, maybe it's going to be maintenance, or I had no idea I'd be outside. So just like I had like 7 sweatshirts, just so much layers for those first days. But it's like I can't walk into a store and buy a jacket. Like everything that I had to buy was online, so it took time to get to me. And I now finally have like a closet of winter workwear, which is great.
An obstacle for sure. Okay. So, Pete, Zepp's gear. That's what it is.
Yep.
Zepp's gear. Come on, brother. Got to help the ladies out. So you're a first year apprentice, second year apprentice?
First year
apprentice.
Almost second. Okay. Like I've got like, it just like with COVID happening, we shut down for a month. I probably could have done my full first year at the school, but I'm like.
It's in pause right now.
Yeah.
It's affecting all of us. You're not too far away from the very first day on the job site. And so with that, what would you do differently from the perspective of sharing that advice or insight with another woman entering the job site for the first time?
What would I do differently?
Yeah. What if you could have done it all over again, how would you approach it?
That is a tough question. I don't know. I feel like I didn't have a horrible experience.
Awesome.
So I think it was like, I'm the kind of person that I feel like I can read situations really well. Like I can get a vibe off of people. And like, I in my head, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go in on my first day, get a read for what's happening. I'm like an adaptable person. Like I'm kind of like a chameleon because I always can not change myself, but I can interact with people, I think, in a way that like I can tell when someone needs to if someone's talking too much and someone needs to get out of there. I can read that situation.
Help them out. Yep.
Yeah. Like I didn't want to come in just like all like, good morning, everyone. Like I'm super bubbly and like I wanted people to take me seriously. And so I kind of got a read for the job site before, and then I could loosen up a bit and be more Darci. But I think that's important, just to be able to read the situation before.
I think that's fantastic, right? Is come in with some humility, right?
Yeah.
Ego down.
Yeah.
Be present. Be fully aware of the people around you. Pay attention not to just the words that they say, but their body language, so that you can adapt to that climate or culture, whatever it is, right? Because you've probably seen it. Every job site, every crew has a different dynamic.
Yes. Yeah.
And being able to adapt to that, not lose yourself. You still got to be you.
Yeah.
But being able to adapt yourself appropriately really helps. I mean, it unlocks the door to connecting with people.
And I think that was one thing I didn't want to lose. I didn't want to not be me.
Yes.
Like I'm obviously a female. Like I'm super girly, like when I'm at home, and like I didn't want to have to lose that part of me. Like I obviously know what to wear to a job site. I'm not like doing anything crazy. But like if I want to paint my nails, I'm gonna paint my nails. Like someone said, I think people have said like, don't wear nail polish, like you draw more attention to yourself. But like I'm okay with who I am, and I don't want to change me in order to feel like I fit in. So it's like I'd have my nails painted, and like I remember when I got them done, I'm like, nobody's even gonna notice them.
Yeah.
And like at lunch, like like,
Yeah.
that's where I miss the female interaction sometimes. They're like, "Oh, did you get your nails done, Darcy?" Yes, I did. But like
Oh.
all the
And
guys,
you're at the job site eating lunch, kind of.
yeah, like, "Hello."
Yeah. And they're missing it.
Yeah, I
Oh.
think I got my hair done, and like 2 weeks later, the guys are like, "Oh, did you do something different with your hair?" Like, yes, it is
Yes,
now
a
lighter.
month ago.
But I think I love like the guys that I work with. Like I've said it so much, but like I feel so grateful to have those guys, like the first job go the way it did. So
Well, shout out to them,
yes,
and the other men that create a safe space, an inclusive space for everybody, but particularly women entering the trade, right? There just really isn't enough, and there's so much room for them. There's so much room for women out there in the trades. Over my time in the industry, real early on, if there was a woman on site, it was assumed that they were the secretary,
yeah,
right? Like she could have been the damn project manager for the general contractor, and we would say the secretary. Like, she's not the secretary, fool. She's a project manager, right? Like, she's got the big stick out here. Don't be a dum dum. And now, there's more women. I'm able to see that there's more women in management. There's more women in the trades. I've worked with Lisa Pena, who's like the controls and startup guru for TD Industries. Like, she's got it going on.
hmm
And I'm sure she had to overcome a lot of ignorance.
yeah,
But it sounds like you've been in a situation where these men appreciated you, respected you, and made you feel safe.
yeah,
And we need all men to behave that way,
yeah,
right? We need all, especially, I mean, just in general, but out on the job site, like, dude, get over yourself, lend a hand, and be cool. Just be cool. Don't be a dummy.
yeah.
All right? I mean, come on.
Like having a crew of brothers. Like I knew that I think that also eased my mind too. It's like I knew if anything was going to happen, these guys would have my back.
Yeah.
And like there's like the odd few people that would always be like, "Oh, let me carry that for you," and like, "Do you need help? Are you sure?" Like I think I was trying to carry like a 12-foot ladder, and the superintendent was there, and he was just like if she wants to be in construction, let her carry the ladder. And like he wasn't like getting mad at me. It was more like he was trying to have them like respect me a little bit more, that I could handle it. And like by the end of it, I could carry those 12-foot ladders no problem. So
Oh man, those things are a pain in the butt, especially when you're trying to turn in a doorway or the corridor, right?
that was like my ultimate fear, is like moving a ladder around.
Yeah, not fun at all. It is heartening to know that you on your first job got to hook up with a pretty awesome set of dudes.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't always happen, and not just for you as a woman entering the trades, but anybody entering the trades. That first year, like that first week, if you don't treat people with respect, and all you do is demean them and bash them, they're not going to stay.
Yeah. I saw that like I was on another job site, and like it was other trades, but just like how they were talking to, I guess, their apprentice. I don't know what year he was, but I'm like, it's just like, it's so crazy. Actually, I'm reading this book by Kate Braid. She was a journeywoman carpenter.
Okay.
And so this was back in the 70s.
Ooh.
And yeah, so she was like one of the first females in there, and like just what she was writing about, like she had gotten her apprenticeship for carpentry, and there was one guy on the site that just like rode her so hard and like made her feel nervous. And I think like if you're like, she would mess up more because she was so nervous about it. And I think for any apprentice, like you have no idea what you're doing, and like everything is awkward and you're learning, and if no one's going to take that time and treat you with respect, you're not benefiting anyone. Like if you're going to treat someone a little bit better, they're going to work better, right? And under those situations. And so I think that's one thing. I think in the construction industry as a whole, it's like the culture, like to keep these apprentices through and have us finish. It's, I think, super important.
It absolutely is, right? I mean, because there's not enough.
Yeah.
There's just not enough people. There is not enough people. And, a lot of those salty, seasoned journeymen complain about, man, I got to do all this damn work. Well, yeah, because you keep running all the apprentices up, or they're complaining that they're taking too long to learn. They're learning slowly.
Yeah.
Well, there's like proof, scientific fact that when you create an environment where it's okay to ask questions, it's okay to make a mistake, people learn deeper and faster.
Yeah.
But if you create an environment where people have their guard up and are protecting themselves from the hazing, and don't get me wrong, because I played my role in hazing people, but if you're in this crisis state of mind where you're always looking out for yourself, always worried about somebody yelling at you, cussing you out, because it happens, right?
Yeah.
They just straight up cuss you out and demean you in front of everybody, threatening you with your job every 5 minutes. That does not create a learning mindset. That does not support a learning mindset.
Yeah.
So be cool, right? I mean, it's that easy. Be cool. Help them out. You weren't born knowing everything. Share the knowledge. I mean, because if we don't share the knowledge we have, it's going to get more expensive, and the artistry and the craftsmanship in our industry is going to suffer. It's going to continue to disappear.
Yeah. My foreman had said one thing. He's like, if you mess up, own up to it. Explain to me your thinking of what happened, and don't I think he's had some people in the past just be like he'll notice something and then they're like, oh yeah, I noticed that, I didn't know. But it's like, so come to me, just as long as you can formulate what your thinking was, that's fine.
Yes. Man, that guy sounds like a genius, right? Reflect on what happened, and the real key thing there, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
What were you thinking? And I'm excited right now, so it sounds like I'm picking on somebody.
No.
But when we pause to examine our thinking, we are better equipped to learn and adjust in the future.
Exactly. Yeah.
And when you do it and articulate it with another human being, it's even deeper. Man, that dude, you got a good crew out there. I'm happy. I'm super happy for you. So what do you see? This is a big question, because I imagine it could be big and broad, but what do you think your future looks like?
I think it looks bright.
Yeah?
I feel, you know what, when I think of all my previous experience and how it's led me to this point, I'm super grateful that I have the background that I do. And I think when, I guess in 5 years from now, when I'm licensed, I want to advocate for sure for women in the trades. I think being able to do these podcasts and share my story has been one of the things that I'm really passionate about. And I wouldn't have got into the trade or started looking at it if I hadn't read about other women previously and what they've accomplished. And just seeing myself go through these different stages has been amazing. So I would see myself, I think, doing speaking for women in the trades, or just the trades in general, not necessarily women, but telling the future generations how amazing it can be, and just educating them more on the trades, and not necessarily electrical, but trades in general.
Yeah.
I think it's super important for them to hear more information about it. So getting through my apprenticeship and doing stuff like this more, and I guess eventually maybe running my own job site or.
Woo-hoo! Oh yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that you're going to be doing that. That's a given.
Yeah. Organization.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So for Mr. Colson, what career advice do you have for the young Mr. Colsons and Mrs. Colsons out there in the world?
I think just research, and use your network or your parents' network to get an idea of everything that's out there. I think don't just like with, I think my generation, it was so like, okay, you're going to go into computers or business, or like there wasn't a lot of options to see what's out there. And I think I was trying to find something that I was super passionate about and wasn't really finding that, but then now have found something that I am actually like legit passionate about.
It took a minute, but you got it.
But I'm here, and I think just being able to share the stories, and anyone who is in a career that they love to share it so that other people can hear different sides of it. But I think just research.
Get out there,
Try it.
learn about it, try it, ask about it, meet somebody who does it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that is fantastic advice.
Yeah.
Well, this has been, you probably know, right? But I could keep talking all day long. You are super interesting, amazing attitude, very intelligent, very thoughtful. It's a pleasure to speak with you. But do you have any last thoughts or messages you want to get out to the listeners?
I think with my apprenticeship, I wasn't really the smartest, like in my tests. And I think if you want something, you should go out and get it and like fight for it. And that's what's got me where I am here. I think that's one of the things with the intake. We had to do an aptitude test and an interview. And I think my interview was what sold it.
Yeah.
And like they saw my drive and my determination and what I was going to do for it. Like they were just like, will you, like, if you need extra help for your, like for schooling, or like, would you take extra courses? And I was like 100%. And I think just don't get discouraged if you don't make it the first time. If you want something, just take it.
Oh my goodness. Yep. Perseverance, girl.
Yeah.
Like you got it all day and you got it in spades. Oh man. Well, Miss Darci, it was a pleasure. Thank you. And we'll be talking again in the future, especially when you're running your job and using Scrum and having daily huddles and coordinating and planning that workout. I want to hear all about it.
That would be awesome.
Man, you are one dedicated listener, sticking with us all the way through to the very, very end. Please know that this podcast dies without you, and we invite you to share how the episode's impacting you, along with your thoughts, questions, and suggestions. You've been gracious with your time, so we added social media links in the show notes to make it super easy for you to connect with us. Be kind to yourself, stay cool, and we'll talk at you next time.